been before a crowd this large. Most of my meetings have been virtual with community associations and even with the directors that, this is all brand new all over again. It's been long 2 years, full of a lot of hardship and illness and issues that families have faced and our employees have faced, whether it be child care or keeping their job or learning to work virtually from home. So it's been very trying and very difficult for a lot of our families. But the one thing that has been constant is Baltimore County has been open for business and been there for you every step of the way. My office worked day and night during the whole pandemic. Our office was open, our district offices, and I know the agencies, a lot of people worked from home, but things still got done. So with that being said, I just want to say what a great partnership that I have with the county executive and his administration. I've known the county executive for many, many years before I was in this office and he was in this office, and we're just a couple of East Siders, and he's doing a fantastic job, and I appreciate the transparency of these meetings. We've missed the last 2 years because everything was virtual. And I remember the first budget town hall we had. It was very successful. And this night is really about you. It's all about you. It's about you seeing where your tax dollars are spent in this year's budget, seeing where the money goes and what communities it's going to. And we're also here for you for any questions that you may have or concerns in your community. Something you think you may be lacking, or something you're excited about, or you think that things have been overlooked. So tonight is all about you, and we're here to answer your questions. And I want to thank all the directors that are here from all of our agencies this evening. I think almost every agency is probably represented here this evening. And if I don't know the answer right off the bat, or the county executive doesn't, hopefully our directors will, and if not, I'm sure they will get back to you. My staff, Doris and Patrick, are also here, so if you have something you feel you need to have some follow-up on, they're in the back of the room as well. So now I would like to introduce my partner in government and your leader of Baltimore County, County Executive, Dr. Johnny Oshesky.
How's everybody doing tonight? It's good to see all of you. Thank you so much for coming out. I am very proud of that degree, so especially at a college, I think it's appropriate to recognize. And so thank you, Councilwoman Bevins. Thank you for being here. District 6 with Councilwoman Bevins and every single department is represented by either a director and or a deputy of your county government tonight. So looking forward to hearing directly from you later tonight, and also answering any questions you may have with the advice and input and feedback from our incredible leadership team, headed up by our outstanding administrative officer, Stacey Rogers, and so many others. So thanks to our team for being here. Thank you all for being here. Really excited. The Councilwoman mentioned the work of these last 2 years, and the work has been about getting back on track. And I'm proud to report to you that because of our efforts together, we are, in fact, very much getting back on track. Whether it was our award-winning vaccination efforts at the Timonium Fairgrounds, or our Uber and Lyft rides to the clinics, doing homebound vaccination efforts, we really are getting the job done. And we've got about 80% of our residents are now vaccinated. And what's staggering about that is of that number, the vast majority of people who have been hospitalized have been those who've been unvaccinated. So that's why we continue to urge folks, if you haven't gotten your vaccination, please get it. If you haven't gotten your boosters, please get it. We're particularly pushing that for our children, especially as our schools are returning and we want to keep them open. BCPS recently made the decision to allow children to be mask optional. And so the best way to keep our kids protected, hands down, is the vaccine. It's the best tool that we have. In addition to vaccination, we've done a whole host of other things to support our residents and business. We've distributed over 100,000 rapid test kits during the Omicron variant. another $250,000 through the school system. We built out a robust food distribution network in partnership with BCPS and the Maryland Food Bank, where we've now distributed, in partnership with them and other local organizations, over 18 million meals. Director Terry Hickey's team has helped us prevent evictions for over 1,500 families. We've provided internet essentials to low-income families across Baltimore County, something we plan to continue with our American Rescue dollars. We stood up a child care program for our low-income families as well as our employees in Baltimore County. We provided $26 million of direct aid to businesses across our county. We're going to be doing even more in the years ahead, not just through our budget, but also through the $160 million that was made available by President Biden and our congressional delegation in the American Recovery Plan. $3 million of that is actually going toward a COVID response and a community recovery in Essex. $16 million to have more sustainable and attainable housing across Baltimore County. More supports for our child care providers, behavioral health supports, supports for domestic violence, issues that we've seen incredibly rise these past few years. More money for small business and county tourism, money for equity districts across Baltimore County, and more. So I'm proud to report that because of you and the way that you've engaged and the way that you've asked questions and the way that you've given us feedback, we have made tremendous progress these past 3 years. And we've done that even amidst the worst global health crisis of our lives. So from the very beginning, we worked with Councilwoman Bevins and Councilman Marks and others, and we introduced major ethics reform legislation so that we strengthen that trust in county government. We created the county's first ever Inspector General. We strengthened our lobbying laws, and we stood up the county's first ever public financing of elections, which will take effect in the next election cycle. We've engaged thousands of residents across Baltimore County in this budgeting process through events just like tonight. Thousands of people attending, hundreds of people testifying. And to put that in perspective, the 2 years prior to my tenure as county executive, I believe there were 2 people who testified on the budget in total. In total. So again, I commend you for your presence here and for your involvement. We also created the Community Engagement Office. Zach Basso introduced himself. He's our new District 6 coordinator. But we're here to talk about the budget tonight. So let's talk a little bit about the budget. The county budget that we currently are operating under is a $4.2 billion spending plan that reflects our values. Where the money comes from primarily are property and income taxes. We certainly get a fair amount of state aid, and we had some other fees. About half of all of that revenue goes to support our county workers. This is everything from salaries and fringe benefits to contractor supplies and other materials. I would say over half of our money goes to education. Obviously, one of the most important investments we make in local government. And after education, we have about $450 million each for our other top priorities in local government: public safety and public works. On the capital budget side, so all the buildings like the one we're in, that's funded by bonds and supports our construction projects. These are our schools, our community centers, our police stations. And these are the things that you actually may have remembered voting on last November. This is something that really, you all weigh in on the ballot box, and I'm proud of the ways that we have made smart strategic investments. Because we are balancing these investments with fiscal responsibility. And Baltimore County has consistently been rated a AAA bond rating, which is the highest bond rating you can have by all 3 bond rating agencies. And that puts us in very elite company. Fewer than 2% of all counties across this country have a AAA bond rating. That saves us money because we can borrow at a lower rate. And it also speaks to how we are being responsible with your precious resources. Delivering on our vision really is about also modernizing our services. So we are continuing to make those investments that improve your quality of life. Whether it's bulk trash pickup, which was one of the big town hall recommendations given to us, and working with Councilwoman Bevins and her colleagues, we got that done for the first time since 1992, and the service was discontinued. Now, to put things in context on bulk trash, Whitney Houston was top of the charts with I Will Always Love You. Johnny Carson was being replaced by Jay Leno on The Tonight Show. So it's been a minute, but we're really thrilled that because of our partnership, we've been able to do that. We're also investing in things like ramped up code enforcement, hiring more officers, launching a code enforcement dashboard, and creating a new fund to address derelict properties. As we strengthen our neighborhoods, we're also investing in our main streets, and we're doing that across all of Baltimore County. Towson was named a Main Street affiliate back in 2020. Reisterstown, Maryland was named our second Main Street. We have an A&E, the county's first ever in Music City, Maryland, Catonsville. Sparrows Point at Trade Point Atlantic is a huge e-commerce hub, the largest on the East Coast, and maybe the largest in the country, the way things are going. We're here at CCBC, so it's appropriate we talk about the ways in which they've been an essential partner. For 3 years in a row, I've partnered with Dr. Curtinitis, and she has been just a dynamic leader for this institution. I know she's probably not here, but Dr. K, thank you wherever you're hopefully listening. Working with Dr. K, we've frozen in-county tuition for 3 years in a row. We've expanded our College Promise program so our young people have access to free school, 500 more students this year, for a total of 850 since the program's inception. We're working to expand CCBC's early college access and P-TECH programs, which is a partnership with our schools and local businesses that help students complete their high school diploma and their associate degree in 6 years, no cost to our students. We believe in investing in our seniors, which is why Director Riley and her team helped us launch Age-Friendly Baltimore County. We have an action plan in place. We launched No Senior Needs Alone to fight social isolation. We launched the Because program in partnership with the Weinberg Foundation to make sure that seniors who need home repairs are getting it done and they can stay and age in place. The Parkville Senior Center, closer to home in District 6, is getting plumbing renovations, and we're studying for an expansion of parking there. And the Overly Senior Center is having an upgrade to their HVAC system. Transportation has been a focus of this administration as well. Last year, we launched the county's first ever fixed route transit service, the Towson Loop. A couple of weeks ago, it reached its first milestone of 10,000 riders. This is a service that's going to be critical to replicate as we think about a stronger local transit system. So you think about communities all over Baltimore County that could benefit and replicate that. And as we move forward, that's what we're looking on. Public safety, of course, is one of the most critical responsibilities for local government. Chief Hyde, I want to thank you and your leadership team for all that you're doing day in and day out. I want to thank you for being dedicated and consistent on your public safety plan, targeting crime prevention in our hotspots, using data analytics to drive our policing strategies, being out in the community, and helping us get the job done. It's a plan that's working. Violent crime, year over year, is down 16%. And our clearance rate is among the best. We are well above the national average with an 81% clearance rate. It's a real testament to the men and women of the Baltimore County Police Department. The message that we've been saying loud and clear, all are welcome in Baltimore County. But if you commit a crime in Baltimore County, we will find you, we will arrest you, and we will prosecute you. And you can bank on that given the statistics. You can actually track those statistics about crimes in your community, arrest data by going on that BC stat, our first ever data-driven dashboard for the county, and you can see firsthand. We do know, however, that we did experience an increase in homicides last year, an unfortunate part of what has become a national trend. But I want you to know that we are doing everything necessary to ensure that Baltimore County remains a safe place to live, work, and raise a family. Half of all of our homicides last year had a behavioral health or a domestic violence component. So we also know that these are tragedies that can't be solved or stopped by law enforcement alone. That's why we're also investing in things like our crisis team expansion. It's why we're setting up a clinician program in our 911 call center. It's why we're making significant investments to have more resources for domestic violence. It's why we're leveraging our ARP to also have 10 vulnerable adult coordinators in addition to those 10 domestic violence coordinators. Even as we support our police and the important work they do, we're also ensuring our policing practices are equitable while we're keeping our community safe. We created an equitable policing work group, and Baltimore County became the first jurisdiction in the region to enact policing reforms. We passed the bipartisan Smart Policing Act, which banned chokeholds, prevented officers from misconduct from serving, and really codified many of the other reforms that were already underway here in Baltimore County. We're also continuing to tackle the opioid epidemic head-on. We have expanded our harm reduction services, like drug take-back boxes. We're expanding access to treatment. Gaudenzia launched the county's first new treatment center in Owings Mills in 2020. And we're partnering with Shepherd Pratt to have the first of its kind hub-and-spoke model, which cares both for people who are experiencing mental health and substance abuse conditions. We're also in the process of building our own hub-and-spoke to connect people to a network of healthcare providers. Baltimore County is also taking big steps in sustainability, and that starts with getting the basics right. So back in 2013, recycling was discontinued. A few years ago, we resumed that. But we didn't stop there. We created the county's first ever chief sustainability officer, and we set a new renewable energy goal of 100% renewable energy by the year 2026. We partnered with BG&E to install charging stations for electric vehicles. We signed a new executive order to put new and replacement vehicles being electric or hybrid. We're also investing significantly in open space, another important part of making our county more sustainable. This year's budget includes $75 million, and Director Johnson told us we're finally putting some meat on the bones for Rec and Parks. This year's budget represents the last 6 years of budgeting combined in 1 year. So just to put it in perspective, how much we're investing. That means that Councilwoman Bevins was able to deliver on 2 new PAL centers in the design phase. One at McCormick Elementary School in Rosedale and one at Glenmar Elementary School in Middle River. And both PAL centers are expected to open sometime next year. At Linover Park, Eastern Regional, and Double Rock Park, our budget includes funds to refer to natural fields. We also have funding for LED lights at both Linover and Double Rock. We're also actively pursuing acquisitions for land in Middle River, and we hope to have more information to announce about that soon. And as we continue our master planning process for recreation and parks, we're going to keep looking for opportunities across Baltimore County. Last year, Director Likens and Environmental Protection helped us launch Retree Baltimore County to expand that tree canopy in our more urbanized communities. And using ARP, we also plan to put millions of dollars forward to do a more robust trail network across Baltimore County. The waterfront is also an important feature here in District 6. We've already enacted a successful midge program to treat midges on Back River, and we're working with the Maryland Department of Agriculture and Secretary Bartenfelder to try to make that program more permanent. Last but certainly not least is education. Very personal for me, both as a former teacher in our county schools, as the parent of a kindergartner in Baltimore County, and as county executive. The current budget that we're operating in has the single largest increase of maintenance of effort in the county's history. We fully funded all of the teaching positions that were set to be lost so that we could preserve smaller class size. We funded step increases and COLAs for BCPS staff. We worked with the school system and Dr. Williams to use that ARP funding to raise pay for our school bus drivers and eliminate pre-employment barriers. I want to thank all the teachers and education professionals who continue to do heroic work. And in the budget ahead, I think we should focus on working with BCPS to pay the workers strong wages and benefits so that we can fill the hundreds of positions that unfortunately remain vacant. And after teaching in a trailer for most of my career, I know firsthand how important it is to have quality learning environments. That's why, since we've taken office, we've put forward hundreds of millions of dollars to finish the Schools for Our Future program and ensure that every school in Baltimore County finally has air conditioning. The Northeast Elementary School is under construction off Rossville Boulevard, opened up next year. Drove by that on my way here today. A new Red House Run is in the construction phase, a September 2023 completion date. In May, we will break ground for a new addition at Pine Grove Middle. We're breaking ground this spring for a new middle school in the Northeast area, expected to open in 2024. And there are millions more for systemic renovations and maintenance, including roof rehabs at Parkville High School, Fullerton Elementary School, McCormick Elementary School, and Villa Cresta, and a new turf field at Parkville High School is set to begin construction next summer. Now, that was a lot of schools, and schools are very expensive. And I think it's a testament to this county, to this council, and the partnership we've had with all of you to make sure we were able to make that happen. Because I've seen incredible needs throughout Baltimore County. I've had the chance to tour our schools, and I've seen schools that are literally crumbling into the ground. I've seen schools with the brown drinking water. And that's why over the last 2 years we engaged 22,000 Baltimore County residents in a long-term planning discussion with surveys where we had independent experts come in and rank all of our schools according to our condition, capacity needs, and our ability to meet the needs of our young learners. This led to the creation of the multi-year improvement plan for all schools, My iPass. This is our North Star and our foundation as we move forward. It's $2.5 billion of transformational investment for all of our kids, where every single school receives meaningful capital investment, and it is fully paid for with our existing funding mechanisms. My iPass has a place for every student within the school building within the next decade. So we will finally be able to say there are no trailers in Baltimore County. It makes career and technology education and STEM education a priority. There are significant funds for community schools, special and alternative schools. And then we also, again, put investment in every school in renovations and preventative maintenance. We are currently in the process of working with BCS as part of that plan to develop addressing the high school needs in Northeast Baltimore County. So last year I put forward funds to address enrollment growth and improve high schools in the Northeast area. And BCPS has announced 2 community input meetings for that. They are Wednesday, March 9th and Wednesday, April 6th. So I think we have, Zach, flyers upstairs if folks are interested in participating in those discussions. Now, I mentioned My iPass as a solid baseline. It is because it is transformative, but it's also based on existing funding. So while it was scaled to our budget, I've always said, let's make sure we're meeting the full needs, and I've pushed ourselves to go further. It's why we've committed the funding to finish schools for our future. It's why we pushed for the passage of the Build to Learn Act with our state legislators, and it's why we're going to raise the bar and do even more. Raising the bar means a budget for additional resources. This is what the current funding is. We currently put $100 million locally. You can go back one. About $100 million locally for Baltimore County. The state traditionally has done about 40 to 45 million. With the passage of the Build to Learn Act, they double that over a 10-year horizon, but we're going to go even further. With additional funding, we know that we can invest more in our older high schools. We know that we can build classrooms for the 3,000 new young learners who are going to have pre-K programs expanded under the Maryland Blueprint. We're going to improve security at our schools so that kids are safer. We can modernize our classrooms with furniture investments and other technology. And again, all the while bringing meaningful investments to every school. So as we wrap and turn the floor over to you, I'll just say I will be introducing my fiscal year 23 budget in April. The council has until the end of May to approve it. We look forward to the partnership that I have with Councilwoman Bevins and her colleagues on the council to get a budget right that meets the needs of not just District 6, but all communities across Baltimore County. So with that, I'm going to pass the floor over to Zach here, who will give instructions for folks who want to come up and testify on the District 6 budget, Baltimore County budget. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Mr. County Executive. So we are going to ask that if you could just remain seated, and we will have we have Brenda over here, and then we'll have Carmen on this side. If you could just kind of raise your hand, and one of them will bring you a microphone, and then you'll have 2 minutes to ask your question or share your budget proposals. And if that question cannot be answered tonight, a member of our community engagement team will get with you.
Thank you for this opportunity to speak on this fiscal year 23 budget. Is this on? I'm speaking on behalf of Green Towson Alliance, and I'm speaking on behalf of our trees and our open space. And we've submitted other comments in writing, but I'll highlight a few items. Thanks. We know that in the fiscal year 2022 budget, the county only appropriated about 0.3% in total budget for the Department of Environmental Protection and Sustainability. In this time of climate change, Baltimore County must prioritize the environment and fund DEPs at adequate levels to safeguard the health and quality of life of our citizens. Please fund additional development reviewers and environmental inspectors in DEPs to protect our natural resources from poorly planned development. Please fund expansion and maintenance of the shade tree canopy throughout the county, and this will reduce flooding and excessive heat impacts due to climate change, and improve air quality and improve habitat for native insects and birds. Please fund additional forestry positions in DEPs. The county has one forester for the entire county in the Public Works Department. There's no budget for maintaining the existing tree canopy. And please fund a canopy tree inventory by DEPs. It can be using GIS, and it could be based on the downtown Towson tree survey, which was created by the Green Towson Alliance. In addition, the county has an opportunity to replace trees lost or removed in Towson, in downtown Towson, using existing legislation required in the downtown Towson overlay district. There's a large residential development in the works, in planning on the southwest corner of Baltimore Avenue and Allegheny Avenue in Towson, and it will trigger an obligation to remove trees that were lost. And this will require the planting of approximately 180 new trees. The developers indicated a willingness to work with the county to replace those trees, and the county executive has promised to install more shade trees in Towson if we find a source for those trees. So we ask you to make good on that promise. We ask you to fund a position in the Department of Recreation and Parks to administer a volunteer weed warrior project or program, like programs in Baltimore City and Montgomery County. And we endorse Neighbor Spaces initiative to create a countywide open space plan. Thanks very much for this opportunity to speak.
Thanks, Ray. Director Likens, I promise I did not set the tree stuff up, so you're happy to know that in our budget hearings, we are actively trying to figure out if and how we find additional resources, particularly for that, but I appreciate the full run here. And then Jenny Osa is our current climate change and sustainability leader. So if you haven't had a chance to connect, I'm sure you guys have. I know you guys have been in a lot of meetings, but thank you guys both for the work you do as well. Thank you, Ray.
Hello. My name is Bronwyn Strong. I'm a BCPS parent of 3. And I believe that accessing science should not cost a family a fortune. To go to the Maryland Science Center for a family of 4 cost $120 just to enter the building. The aquarium, $190. And Port Discovery, $80. The Smithsonian's are free, but it takes a minimum of an hour driving each way, navigating DC and parking. And who wants to do that? So imagine a building located in the heart of Baltimore County that is home to collections that tell a 4 billion year history of Maryland in rocks, minerals, fossils, plants, animals, and archaeology. In fact, if we had to rebuild the state, all of the pieces to do so would be there. And imagine an organization led by volunteers where scientists work with the community to push the scientific frontier forward, where a community of the curious explore and make discoveries together. And imagine that discoveries together. And imagine that entering that facility would cost you nothing. Well, you don't have to imagine it. It exists at 6908 Bel Air Road in District 6. It is the Natural History Society of Maryland. In that unassuming building is an archive of Maryland's natural history that has been added to and kept safe for over 93 years by committed volunteers, and it is ready for just this moment. Because with the support of the county, that unassuming building can be transformed into a state-of-the-art facility for science and discovery, open and accessible to all, where the cost of admission is only one's curiosity. So please, help us open the doors to wonder for all. Thank you.
And Ron, thank you. My daughter is still playing with the shark teeth in the sand. She has the opportunity to tour, and your presence and advocacy tonight. So thank you.
Hi. This is my first town hall meeting, so I'm very excited to be here. My name is Cathy, and I'm asking for funding for improvements to the stormwater management system. I actually live in District 5, so hope it's okay. Here,
Totally fine.
David Mark back there. I think I can have him at first. I'm here to ask for your help in mitigating stormwater runoff that affects our property and the environment. My name is Adrian Hubbard, and I live with my partner Dorothy on Overbrook Road in Iowa. We're actually, so we need the county to address the inadequate stormwater management system in our part of the neighborhood. We are at the sump or the low point of several hilly streets. During heavy rains, stormwater runs off the impervious surfaces, flooding Overbrook Road and sometimes our front and backyard. The storm drains are not able to take in all the water. At the very least, we would like the county to install a higher concrete berm between the road and the verge in front of our house. This is what was suggested by a county engineer, Zach Davis, who came to look at it in 2018. That summer, there were 2 severe floods where you could have rowed a boat in the street. With climate change, we are nervous about this problem worsening. We're putting in a native plant rain garden in our backyard, and we planted several trees in our property, but that's not enough. We need your help. We've testified at meetings and notified our elected officials over the last several years about this problem with no results so far. Could you please let me know whom I can contact as a follow-up to this meeting so that we can work towards a solution? This will help not only us as individuals, will also help reduce the runoff that harms our streams and Chesapeake Bay. Thank you.
Is it Adrian, is that right?
Yeah.
First of all, thank you for coming, and congratulations on making, I was going on 5 minutes, so that was me, but I'm excited that you're here. I believe that we've got Deputy Director Lauren Butler is in the back there. She's waving to you. So if you actually want to go ahead and make your way and connect in the hallway or whatever, we'll get you all the information. But Lauren, before you do that, if you, just for the benefit of the crowd, talk about some of the infrastructure investments we're making. In addition, I think it's a nice time to raise comments. We're also exploring the possibility of some green infrastructure in addition to some of the traditional replacements.
I'm also a member of the Greenhouse Alliance.
We are working on a climate action plan. We've issued that on our website, and we're taking that a step further with some implementation plans from that. So we're working on some pilot projects from that. We're mapping where our stormwater issues are. We added all that to My Neighborhood, which is the GIS mapping tool you can see on all of our county's website. So you can drop down a layer and see where all the flooding issues are in the county. and we can use that data to determine our next steps and where we're going to fix these problems to make it better for the overall area instead of just one-off tweaks that aren't fixing the bigger picture. And I'll be happy to talk to you more detail about that.
And I'll also say, gentlemen, if you would chime in, we're not there yet, but we're also having conversations around what a climate resiliency authority can look like for Baltimore County. And really sort of stepping up and having a mechanism, not just for county dollars, but also, you know, private funding and other resources so that we can tackle these issues a little more systemically.
Absolutely. Mr. County Executive, I think you hit the nail on the head, and my office has been working really nicely with the Department of Public Works and Transportation on these efforts, so I would just echo what Lauren said.
Good evening, and thank you to both the County Executive and Councilwoman Bevins for hosting this town hall again and taking the time to hear our concerns and suggestions. My name is Caitlin Clem-Kellner, and I am a lifelong resident of District 6, a community activist, and a candidate for County Council. Tonight, I want to start with police staffing. It is known that the Baltimore County Police Department has staffing shortages. In my experience, I have seen this within the Community Outreach Department. Some precincts should have 5 community outreach officers. These are officers that attend community meetings and are the lifeline between community groups, the community as a whole, and the police department. Instead of 5 community outreach officers, this precinct has 1. That is 1 officer to cover their precinct that stretches from the city line to Hartford County, to attend meetings and to reach out to multiple community groups, attend community events, and more. If there is a shortage of student resource officers or that community outreach officer is needed elsewhere, they can be pulled and put on that assignment. To help with this staffing shortage and based on the success of the County Executive's Office of Community Engagement, I propose an Office of Community Engagement within the Baltimore County Police Department's Community Outreach Team. This would include civilians on staff that live and look like the community in which the precincts are located. They would work in conjunction with officers, community groups, police community relation councils, citizens on patrol, and more. This would not eliminate the community outreach officer, but provide a level of support for officers, the department, community groups, and more. They can provide flexibility to attend meetings and to assist in COP training, send crime reports, and have a dialogue with community groups, and more. I'm almost out of time, but thank you so much for the time to listen to me. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Caitlin. Just for county staff, I don't know if we're getting some messages from folks who are trying to watch the live stream. They're having some difficulty hearing the audio. So I don't know if there's we can turn back on or just check that. But some of our proven retention strategies, whether it's the signing bonus and some other things we're talking about.
So first of all, thank you for that great suggestion. Obviously, community engagement is incredibly important to us. Right now, as we are dealing with some vacancies, we do have to do some shuffling around it. And look, our top priority is when somebody calls 911, making sure that we've got the officers in place to get them where they need to be. We are doing a lot of work as it pertains to our recruitment strategy. We've done some community hiring events across Baltimore County. We'll continue to do them. I think I should tell you about the microphone. But you know, we're going to continue to work with these hiring events as well as we're working on actually having additional entry-level academy class to continue to upgrade our staff as it pertains to, you know, continuing to ask for mechanisms for the community engagement that we're doing. You know, one of the things that we have, you know, a colonel here, an operations colonel founder, I know we have it, some of our precinct commanders here. It is also coming up with ways to make sure that those officers are also that are strictly doing community engagement. But, you know, definitely conversations we're continuing to have, but, you know, we've been getting a tremendous amount of support from the administration and from the county council as it pertains to some of our recruitment efforts. And, you know, Apple will continue to fill those vacancies and we'll be able to fill those positions. Thank you.
Nick Dunn. So I just wanted to ask about making Rosedale Park more handicap accessible. To get in from the main entrance, there's a knee-high barrier that you have to step over. And then the majority of the park is not connected to the main parking lot by a path. Most things aren't even accessible by path. Two of the pavilions, baseball field, the softball field, football field, and the volleyball field. Like my parents, my dad's in a wheelchair, I wouldn't be able to take him. I'm assuming if it's a problem for people in wheelchairs, it's also a problem for people with strollers. So, yeah, and it's also the barrier that you have to step over to get into and out of the parking lot. It's just kind of unsafe to have to step over a barrier like that. So I was wondering if you could do something to fix that issue.
Yeah, and Director Johnson started this great hashtag All Parks for All People, where we are trying to be more intentional about those issues. And I know that she and her team would also be happy to talk specifically about Rosedale Park, but also just generally about our efforts to be more accommodating for all of our residents.
Thank you, Mr. CE, and thank you for your question. It's an excellent question. It's something that I'm happy to say we're working on. One of the things that our department is undergoing is accreditation. And what accreditation does is it looks at over 150 standards. One of those standards is our accessibility of our parks and our facilities. So we have to do an assessment. Our Chief of Capital, Drew Emmer, is here. He's taking down Rosedale Park, but that will be one of the sites that we have to do an assessment for. We are not where we should be. As the county executive mentioned, he's funded our department in an unprecedented way. Thank you, Mr. County Executive, again, where we have more in our capital budget than we've had for the last 6 years combined. So we're working on trying to move forward. We're also undergoing a process where we look at all of the amenities in our parks and our facilities and determine the quality of them so that we can make the best decisions possible. So we will be working through that. We have Rosedale Park on our list, and so we'll be at the top of our list, so thank you for your input.
Hi, I'm Kim Stansberry, and I am actually running for Baltimore County Executive. I have a couple of safety questions. One, I'm very concerned about the decrease in the 911 budget, $652,000. Less than 2 weeks ago, Rula's on Delaware Road, a car went through Rula's. Some of the people there tried to call 911, but they were put on hold. It wasn't until one of the employees of another office in that facility actually called a family member who was a member of the Baltimore County Police Department and said, you need to get EMS, the police and the fire department here now. We have 4 or 5 injured people. So that is a public safety concern. The other public safety concern is much like one I just heard. My husband is in a wheelchair. Most of the time he can walk with a cane, but a lot of the sidewalks in Baltimore County, there are holes in the middle of the sidewalks where if he is in a wheelchair, he cannot go to where he needs to be. And once you're on the sidewalk, you can't get down the curb because there's nowhere to go. So that is a safety issue, and I was really hoping that we could get some input on that.
Sure. Thank you for your attendance. If you have specific sidewalk locations, I think Deputy Director Buckler can also take those, and we're happy to look at fixing those. In addition, sidewalks more generally have been an area of focus and emphasis for Councilwoman Bevins, for Councilman Marks, for all of the council members, and we're trying to work with DPW to make all of our neighborhoods more walkable and likeable with those resources. On both, on public safety generally, I'm proud that this is a county that has consistently invested more in our fire department and our police department and corrections. Director Ed Blades helps oversee. I don't know if Tammy is here tonight, but I think if you can speak to, I don't know, I'm not familiar. Yeah, so if you want to speak to that part of the question, but we consistently fund those public safety agencies year over year, and
we do, sir. And when you look at the, we have general funds and we have special funds. And when you look at the general fund budget, technically, yes, it was a decrease in 911. However, historically, we have equipment that we purchased, we're reimbursed by the state 911 board. 2 years ago. We set that up as a grant. So it looks like a decrease. We look at the total 911 budget for general funds and special funds, it increases. And it increases a lot, based on that new reimbursement from the state. So you see a technical reduction, but no reduction in funds.
Thanks, Director Wade.
Hi, I'm Phoebe Evans Latosha, and first I wanted to thank the county executive and our Towson area elected officials for supporting replacement level funding for planning and design for Towson High to enable construction of a rebuilt Towson High that preserves the historical elements of the building, relieves overcrowding, and creates a new 21st century learning environment for all of our community. I also appreciate the efforts to expand available funding so school needs throughout Baltimore County are met. My question relates to the larger issue of school overcrowding and development impact. Last year, the Adequate Public Facilities Task Force developed a set of recommendations to prevent future overcrowded schools situations by reducing loopholes. For each of you, do you support those recommendations, and when can we see legislation to implement them? And would you be open to closing some of the exemptions in the impact fee legislation to bring in more funding that way? So the developers pay their fair share toward our schools and infrastructure. Citizens are tired of developers getting sweetheart deals and fee exemptions while we pay the price through overcrowded schools. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. So for me, the short answer is yes. And I will say, particularly on the impact fee question, I was proud to put forward that as part of my budget submission in my first year. And I think that we certainly deserve to take a look at how it has been working since it's enacted. So I think that is something that we should certainly engage in conversation about.
Yes, thank you, County Executive. Yes, I agree with the County Executive. Thank you so much for coming out this evening. It's good seeing you. So yes, this is an ongoing conversation, and it's always ongoing that developers should probably pay a little bit more, for sure. And thank you for that legislation, County Executive.
And the APFO?
I'm sorry.
The APFO, the Adequate Public Facilities Ordinance recommendations? The APFO recommendations, in addition to the impact fee, the APFO recommendations. Carmen.
So the APFO recommendations, the adequate public facility recommendations, in addition to the impact fee, could you state your position on those recommendations?
Like I said, Phoebe, the short answer for me is yes. It's a legislative, it requires legislative change, so, that would be something that the county council would ultimately take up, but I believe we had membership from the county on that, and, so again, both issues, happy to work with you and other community members on, from my perspective.
And Councilwoman Bevins on that?
I agree.
Buenas noches a todos.
Buenas noches a todos.
Good night, everyone.
Es mi primera vez.
This is my first time.
Estoy aquí como hispana.
I'm here as Hispanic,
Quisiera pedirle recursos para la comunidad hispana
and I would like to offer resources for the Hispanic community
para que pueda establecer un fin de donde podamos ir a buscar como recursos para cómo aplicar para un segundo médico a base de
so they can open a facility or a department somewhere where we can go and find health insurance at low cost.
No para nuestros hijos,
Not for our kids,
que son ciudadanos,
which are citizens,
sino para nosotros.
but for us.
Al igual que nos gustaría que nos capacitaran,
At the same time, they would like us to get,
Capacitaron o clases.
so that we get, classes.
I will try to tell maybe my English is no better, I would like to try it. I would like to also, I come in here for my first time, and I would like to let you know, sir, we need help for learn how and building more better people, Latino people. Because we are here, we have amazing children, and they need also a lot of help for us. But sometimes I don't know how to do it. Because we don't learn or we don't speak the 100% English, and sometimes we want to apply for scholarship, for we're looking for place after school. Also, actually for the license. Also, a lot of people have a license, but also if a lot of people have small companies, and sometimes they don't know how to go to the district and tell you what I need for one license for building a house or to make one extension of my house. So I very appreciate, I know you later all the patients want to go in Spanish, but sometimes I would like to get, maybe special department of people who can help us like stretch down. Please. Thank you so much.
Gracias to you, and thank you so much for coming tonight. I first want you to know that it's been long overdue, but we have actually hired Juliana Valencia Banks as our first ever Immigrant Affairs Coordinator for Baltimore County. And so we affirmatively recognize the need to be better partners with all of our communities. And certainly if there are good examples of what other jurisdictions do to provide those services and that we can sort of look to replicate, I would encourage you and Juliana to connect if you're not already, to share that feedback so that we can work with, whether it's Dr. Branch in the health department, or our Director Pete Gutwall in our permitting department, to make sure that we are making sure those services are open and accessible to all of our residents.
Can I make other question?
Sure.
And also today I have here my friend. She have so maybe she wants to tell you one experience because she wants to go to attend to the court, but I don't know how to do it. So
nosotros tenemos como un problema de la corte.
We have a problem with the justice system, the court.
Yeah.
ella tuvo un problema en la corte.
She had a court.
Tiene un ticket porque en su casa hay mucha supuestamente basura.
She has some fee because in her home there's a lot of trash.
Yo sé que tiene uno que recibir una carta o dos cartas antes de tener la corte.
I know that one should be receiving like 1 or 2 letters before having to go to court.
Ella nunca recibió una antes hasta el día que le llegó del día de la corte.
She never received one until the day that the court agreements letter got to her.
La multa es de $2,300.
The fee?
Oh, perdón, $4,300.
The fee is $4,300.
Y ella andaba buscando cómo comunicarse y habló a la corte al de Towson.
And she was looking to how to communicate, and she spoke with the Towson court.
Pero tardaron mucho en darle una respuesta,
But they took a long time to give her a response.
ya que el día
transporte, ella no tuvo quien tuviera tampoco un traductor directo que le ayudara a exponer su caso.
And also in the day of the court, she did not have an interpreter that helped her to express or expose her case appropriately.
Entonces ella falta a esta audiencia.
Sorry?
Ella falta a esta audiencia.
Then she missed this court appointment.
Y ahora ella, pues yo sé que al momento de faltar uno es culpable.
And I know that at the moment that you need to report it, you are guilty.
Entonces, ¿cómo ella se va a defender si no tiene a alguien que la asesore o que la ayude en su idioma?
So how is she going to defend herself if she doesn't have someone that can give her advice or defend her language?
¿A dónde tiene que referirse ella?
Where does she need to go to get resources to get help?
So we'll get let's get the details of the case, because I'm not clear if it's code enforcement or if it was district court. But we will get the details and connect you to the appropriate resources tonight. And I'll just say more generally, Juliana is helping to lead language access efforts across the county enterprise. She's working with all of our departments to really ensure that whatever the point of entry, whatever issue any of our communities are facing, there's a way to sort of understand and communicate. Yeah.
Somebody had a question? Well, we've got one over there. Perfect.
Good evening, I'm Leslie Weber. I live in District 6 and a longtime public school advocate. I'm the Secretary of the PTA Council of Baltimore County and represent PTA Council on the Baltimore County School Board Nominating Commission. I'm testifying tonight about food insecurity in Baltimore County. I'm asking for support for full funding of 3 effective programs which are underfunded. Summer SNAP for children would help over 51,000 children living in poverty receive food during school breaks. Second, increasing the minimum SNAP benefit for recipients under the age of 62 would provide over 7,000 residents with at least $1 a day in food assistance, or a minimum of $30 per month. Third, fully funding Maryland Meals for Achievement will provide free breakfast to nearly 20,000 students in schools that qualify but are currently not participating in the program. In all, about $6.7 million would fully fund these 3 programs and help about 80,000 Baltimore County residents. Thousands of BCPS students suffer from food insecurity. Food insecurity creates toxic stress and instability, which affect academic performance, but also put these students at higher risk of drug use, making a suicide plan, fighting at school, and carrying weapons to school. More food for families in need means they can spend precious resources on other essentials for their children. Baltimore County can do better to ensure that all residents have enough to eat, including our most vulnerable children, through full funding of these 3 programs. Thank you.
Just since we're talking schools, I just want to recognize Dr. Jennifer Lynch, who's our Director of Educational Partnerships. If you have, it would be great to talk to you tonight.
Go ahead.
My name is Linda Davis, and I come tonight to speak for the Natural History Society, a vibrant organization helping county residents to explore, learn, love, document, and preserve the nature of our places. We strengthen people's connections with nature, people of all ages, backgrounds, and experiences. We offer programs inside our building and beyond, in parks, backyards, neighborhoods, streams, beaches, sidewalks. We help people hunt for fossils, identify plants, listen for frogs, collect research data, make nature art. During the pandemic, we offered numerous online programs to the community. We have clubs for every natural interest: fossils, minerals, butterflies and moths, reptiles and amphibians, archaeology. We preserve natural history collections: minerals, fossils, shells, bones, reptiles, amphibians, mammals, insects, and more. They tell the story of Maryland's past, and they help us understand our present and make informed decisions about the future. We are an anchor in the Overlea community. The Community Association, a scout troop, and a farmer's market all meet at our building. Our state is one of the few without a state natural history museum. Our goal is to become that place in Overley, the Maryland Museum of Natural History. We are on the way. The state has supported us financially and generously. We ask the county to do the same. We already bring great value to the community and to the county. Help us become the Maryland Museum of Natural History.
My name is Dave Conrad. I'm a Baltimore County resident in the 6th District. I'm a business owner. I'm involved in some community associations throughout the county. One of the things that I wanted to touch on tonight was, we have a lot of great ideas in the budget. I'd like to see, just personally and for the community, a much higher focus on trades and trade development within the county. So, obviously workforce development is important across all occupations. But particularly here, you guys are both from the east side, in the 6th and 7th districts, we've got the waterfront, trades that are not just, obviously you got your typical trades like your, electrical, plumbing, HVAC, but then in this area, we've got the waterfront, so all the trades related to that. You talk about Trade Point Atlantic, all the functions and the things that are going on down there. Those industries are going to continue to expand as long as we can provide the workforce for them. Otherwise, they're going to look somewhere else for their place of business, or they're going to look outside of Baltimore County to get those people to come in. So, personally, just from experience, obviously I'm a little biased. I'm a tradesman. I'm an electrician by trade. I got my master's license. And in 2020, the two businesses, I was in the trade, I left the trade, and I had my own businesses. Both of my businesses basically went belly up for a year during 2020 during the pandemic. I was able to enter, after being 15 years out of the field, back into the electrical trade at a working wage for that year while I was able to recover, and now I'm back into the two businesses that I was in, successful because of the fact that I had a trade to rely on. It's been 20 years, obviously, but when I paid for school, my total cost tuition for the 4 years that I went to school with training was $3,000. That was paid by my employer, and that's typical of most contractors that work within the program. So I know we got a lot of great programs in Baltimore County that work on trades. I think we need a bigger focus on them, whether that's a specific trade school or trade programs throughout the existing schools that we already have. Thank you for the time.
Dave, thanks for coming out tonight and representing both these quarters as well. As you know, since I've been in office, I've been trying to designate property for a trade school. And it's been very important for Eastern Baltimore County. And a few years ago, we did secure the land on Ebenezer Road, only the school system that it had too many underwater streams and it just wasn't large enough. But as you know now, working with Lafarge, the Lafarge property, they are donating probably at least 200 acres to Baltimore County, and on that 200 acres will be a professional trade school. We know how important the trades are to Baltimore County. Not everybody goes to college, and even some of the trades, sometimes they send you for a year or two. So we're looking for something different. We know what Solars Point offers. We know what Eastern Tech offers. We know what Carver offers. So there's been a lot of talk over the years between the marine trades and the chamber, talking about what we think would be a good fit there. And we have automotive in a lot of our trade schools, but we don't have anybody that works on boats. And that would be perfect with the 200 miles of waterfront that we share between the 6th and 7th district. We don't have any kind of agricultural programs right now. That would be a good fit because of the farmland that we still have in the 6th and 7th district. So there's definitely a need. We have the land now, so now we just have to get the funding. Thank you, Dave.
And then, in addition, Dave, I mentioned my iPass plan. Part of that $1.5 billion includes investing in career and technology education more meaningfully across our entire spectrum of schools. So, Dr. Lynch can speak more about that if you have questions. And then, Director Leonard Howley is here as well from the Department of Economic and Workforce Development. If there are any questions about what we're doing. Leonard, actually, there's quite a bit of ideas in our ARP proposals in the year ahead to also sort of ramp up and ratchet some of these very issues.
Sure, thank you for that, Executive, and thanks for the question. Things right where we have special ARPA funding to focus on economic workforce development and even agricultural services. So we hear you loud and clear on the trade. We have very specific initiatives that we are planning to implement that can address the trades, the need for trades working with CTE program. But also we understand that Trade Point Atlantic and just other employers around, there is that shortage of workers in those particular occupations, and that where are they life supporting, life changing. And our intent is to really maximize our ability to channel individuals interested in the trades and to really build out the workforce needs that all of these great manufacturers that we actually have at TPA and at other areas throughout the county. So that's very much on our agenda, and we look forward to make sure we keep in touch with everybody about our progress moving forward.
Thank you, Director Malley. I also wanted to add, I wish Dr. Hernandez was still here because CCBC has been a great partner with the trades and working with the county as well. And it's not in my district, but it's in the 7th district. Whoever thought that you would go down to Trade Point and learn how to drive a tractor trailer? That's happening, and that's from CCBC. So I think that we have great partners in providing trades in the future.
Thank you, Councilwoman. And in my work with BCPS, what we have been focusing on is the Blueprint for Maryland's future law expands CTE programming. Part of what we've been talking about is what that expansion looks like. And certainly with over 600 miles of waterfront community in Baltimore County, we know that those waterway trades are so important, as well as the agricultural trades. So I can tell you that those have been in discussions with BCPS. Part of what you talked about was the fees and how we were able to get more trade for a very low cost. And that's part of the work that happens between BCPS and CCDC, is starting that very important training in CTE programs in high school, and then partnering with CCDC so that you can get an industry credential, so that by the time a student graduates high school, or with minimal additional work at CCDC, you have students who are ready to enter the workforce. We're continuing to work with our trade partners, with Leonard Howie's office in to make sure that we are supporting BCPS and supporting our industries to make sure that we're developing the workforce of tomorrow.
Thank you. Good evening, County Executive Oshesky and Councilwoman Bevins. My name is Patty Nichols, and I live in the community of Mont Hill. And recently we had an unprecedented crime event in our neighboring Baltimore County Police Department. The perpetrators were swiftly apprehended. And so I personally like to express my gratitude to the police department for keeping us safe and for all you do each and every day for us. I would like to ask that the budget include, which I understand it doesn't, the purchase, maintenance, repair, and replacement of fitness equipment for our police officers. Not only so that they stay fit so they can chase down the bad guys, but also for their overall health, wellness, and well-being. I think they deserve that, and I think it should be automatically included in the budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Patty.
Thank you, Patty. And I will tell you that I think some of the especially the local precincts will say, especially the precinct, Dunlop precinct will say that I get it up close. My wife will say not as much as I should, but I get up close and personal view of the equipment, and totally agree in terms of the need to have that available for our
Here we go. You got one over there? Perfect, okay. We'll go there and then we'll come back.
Hi, I'm Christina Pumphrey. I am one of the lead volunteers for Student Support Network. I'm also an area vice president for PTA Council of Baltimore County and a District 6 resident. I'm here also to support full funding of the Maryland Meals for Achievement, Summer Stop for Children, and increasing the SNAP minimum monthly benefit. We know from from the Maryland Youth Risk Behavior Survey that food insecurity is related to a much higher risk of violent behavior in schools, including fighting and carrying a weapon to school. Effective efforts to reduce violence in our schools must target the root causes, including food insecurity. Students that arrive at school hungry are not ready to learn, even if their schools have the best teachers, curriculum, or resources available. Food insecurity is not the same as hunger, which we all experience. It refers to the lack of regular and consistent access to nutritious food. The stress of food insecurity is revealed through the child who knows they will soon be sitting in the school cafeteria at lunchtime with an empty lunchbox, pretending to have food, or the student who knows they will have to try to borrow money from friends again to get food. It is the student hoarding food in their school locker for the weekend. It is worrying about whether there will be food at home for dinner tonight or tomorrow night. It is knowing that school breaks during the year, including snow days and summer vacations, are times when getting enough food can be really tough. Food insecurity also takes a tremendous toll on school staff who witness hunger and food insecurity affecting their students every day. Together, these school programs have assisted over 51,000 children living in very low-income families. The Maryland Meals for Achievement funding would provide free breakfast to over 19,000 students in schools that qualify but are currently not participating, including Parkville High School, which currently has over 1,200 students living in severe poverty, which is 60% of all students in the school, and over 500 in severe poverty who qualify for SNAP, and over 170 are experiencing homelessness. Thank you.
My name is Charles Davis, and I'm here this evening to request that Baltimore County support the Natural History Society of Maryland so that it can continue and expand its museum and associated programs of research and education. Much of what we understand about our world we owe to the collection, preservation, and ongoing study of natural history collections. Natural science collections are the libraries that Earth's life forms and processes. They contain the data that researchers need to create complete pictures of complex systems of our environment. When organized systematically, natural science collections enable us to reconstruct Earth's history, understand the present, and forecast the future. Information that profoundly affects our life on this planet. To make sound choices about potential environmental impacts of our actions, it's essential that people know their environment and how the physical and biological world works. Finally, conservation of these collections and research activities and associated public programs can only happen in an appropriate building. The Society would appreciate support from Baltimore County to make that happen.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Lucía Islas. Good evening, my name is Lucía Islas. I would like to ask you about the budget for the school budget in my bag. What about the classes of ESL for our children? As a mother, as a Spanish mother that I am, I worry que ellos no tengan un buen entendimiento de inglés, that they don't have a good understanding of the English language. Entonces, ¿cómo se van a superar? So how can we actually be much better? Quisiera que nuestros hijos sean profesionales. I would like for the children to be professional y que den un buen ejemplo como Spanish. And to give a good example as a Spanish children. Que si me puede decir qué sobre ESL. If you can tell me a little bit about ESL.
Gracias. I would say that I want all of our children to have every potential to be the best version of themselves. And I personally feel like I'm on this stage because of the educational opportunities that I've been afforded in my life. We consistently support the school system's budget, which includes significant funding for our growing English language learner population. I believe, Dr. Lynch, there's provisions in the blueprint as well, so there will be even more resources coming forward. But if you want to speak more generally to efforts in BCPS, that would be appropriate.
Absolutely, and thank you for starting with a question about my iPass, because what my iPass does is provide renovations and enhancements to school buildings across Baltimore County to provide 21st century learning spaces that support all learners, including English language learners. So it creates spaces that will really help students learn both in their native language as well as the English language as well. There is an expanding number of students in Baltimore County who need English language learner services. And so part of what we want to make sure is that those buildings are ready to welcome students and that they have the services that they need. The Blueprint for Maryland's Future does expand services for English language learners and supports, and so that's something that we will continue to work with. We are very lucky to have a county executive who has always overfunded education to make sure that our students do have the teachers, the small class sizes, and the supports that they need to be successful. We will continue to work with BCPS to support USOL expansion and to make sure that your students have what they need.
And the other space where both my iPass contemplates funding and the blueprint, which is more of the operational, is in community schools. And so community schools are a great resource, and I think it actually ties to the earlier question, where we're actually inviting families in, also connecting them to the resources, the services, the translations, the English language learning opportunities for parents and families who want it as well. So it's sort of all very interconnected, and I'm excited about the years ahead of funding those spaces.
County Executive, Councillor, thank you for hosting this tonight. My name is Trevor Molly and I'm a resident of this new District 6. And I want to talk to you tonight about the school capital budget. The My iPass study, which was just mentioned, identified $4.7 billion of capital backlog, $4.7 billion of new school construction, new school renovation and the like. Based on our current funding levels, we're not going to clear that backlog for another 25 years or so. And that's optimistic, that's assuming no inflation, right? So there is a huge hole there, and a huge structural legacy of underfunding for the school system, and it needs to be addressed. And as much as I know you were trying and working on this, I think we need to work on this a hell of a lot harder, to be honest. And you sourced, what was it, $42 million of additional funding from the governor. Thank you very much for that, for school construction. That's 1% of what we need. Right? It's a drop in the bucket, literally. And so I don't have a solution. I don't think there's any easy solutions. But it is really something that we're going to have to focus on a hell of a lot more in this game. In the few seconds I have left, I'd also like to make a small plug for increasing the budget of the Inspector General's office. Our Inspector General has done a sterling job since you got created her office, but she's working with a tiny staff. You could increase the size of her office by a factor of 5, and she would still have an office which is smaller than that of the equivalent Inspector General in Baltimore City, even though the budget for everyone is the same. There's inevitably going to be fraud and waste in any budgeting process, and we need someone to find it and do it. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. I will say we are actively, I guess I could have been even more explicit, but to put a fine point on it, our number 1, 2, and 3 priority this legislative session is more money for school construction. And so we are confident that we're going to secure additional state resources. I'm prepared to put forward even more county resources because I do think it is one of the best investments we can make, and we have underinvested, but we are finally turning that ship around. And you can start to see it in any number of schools across the county, but we want to make sure that standard of excellence is true for all of our students and all of our communities. And we want to see that to be true. I see Director Alcantara and Antoine from the libraries behind you. We want to make that standard the same for our libraries. We want to make sure that our families and our communities have access to world-class amenities. And I want Baltimore County to set the standard for what innovation and excellence can look like. And we've made a lot of progress. Again, like I said, 2 years of the 3 years have been in the middle of the global pandemic. We came in with a budget deficit to start, and yet despite that, we are at least on our way to seeing some light and to addressing these long-term solutions. But thank you very much for the feedback. I do appreciate it.
Hello. So my name is Adam Reuter. I am a candidate for Baltimore County Executive. I have a lot to say about the way you handled the pandemic, but I'll save that for future debates. Tonight is about the budget. Back in the summer of 2020, a group of doctors, including an Ivy League epidemiologist and the professor, came up with a solution to help end the pandemic with early treatment medication. I watched as the state of Maryland, Baltimore County, and other jurisdictions did not follow these protocols. People continued to die. By the time I got COVID in the fall of 2020, I did not have access to these early treatment options. I had to pay out of pocket if I wanted them. Fast forward to the winter of 2021, I started learning about something called the iMask Plus protocol, which was created by Dr. Merrick and Dr. Pierre Coury in Virginia. These protocols, again, saved many people's lives, and they were once again ignored by Governor Hogan and also the county government. So what I'm asking for the budget is, will you, County Executive Oshesky, will you finally look into these early treatment COVID-19 protocols and possibly put them in the budget so that we can save more people's lives and they don't have to pay out of pocket to organizations such as the Frontline Critical Care Alliance and other organizations like that. Typically, they would spend about $150 to $200 to get these early treatment medications.
Thanks, Adam. I'm happy to talk more about our response later, but I think if you ask most professionals, they have cited Baltimore County as having one of the most outstanding responses to this pandemic, holistically, comprehensively, not just by vaccinating our residents, which remains the best preventative tool that we have, but also, as we talked about, the eviction prevention, the food distribution, the support for families and businesses. I, throughout this pandemic, have worked very closely with Dr. Gregory Branch. I don't know if Dr. Branch, you or Della are here tonight. You're up next, Doc. But we talk regularly. We were talking every day throughout the pandemic. We've talked regularly with our hospital executives, health professionals who have spent entire lifetimes studying and partnering and bringing in the best and the brightest to do that. Throughout, we've relied on the health data and the science to help inform our decision making. I'm very proud of that, and I think everything that we have done and all the treatments that have been made available have been made in consultation with not just Baltimore area, but state and national leaders and experts in their field. So if you have other information for us to consider, we certainly will look at it. But I can assure you, and I'll let Dr. Branches have a moment. We have been consistently looking at best practices throughout this pandemic, and we'll continue to do so.
Thank you, Mr. CP. I just would like to say that obviously coronavirus is a new virus, and we've worked very, very closely not only with the local, but with the state and the federal, and also with the international WHO, World Health Organization, regarding the treatments that we had and we were able to provide for the people who had COVID. So you mentioned several different things. I think that we have to remember the fact that we have to do what is the best practice before implementing anything. So I would love to have a conversation with you afterwards, and we can talk about some of those different things. And if you have some ideas or some information, I can let you know exactly what's going on there. But thank you for your questions on that side. Okay, well, I'm here now. And you're here. So we're together. We're going to be okay. Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for having this really interesting budget meeting. I've been to one before. I'm here to support the Natural History Society of Maryland. They're a group that goes down on Belia Road. You can go down and find it if you haven't before. And I'm here, I'm a children's book author, and I'm here to speak to the kids. There are kids
that need to know. There are curious adults as well. And they need to have the information. There are kids that pull the shark tooth, there are kids that pull a box over 25, 20 years old, and they need to know more about it. It's a time of change, it's a time of challenge. We are losing collections of our natural history materials. People retire and things are dispersed. We need to hold on to these things. We need to do the research. We need to get the kids in. We need to inform them. There are 17 curators who are excellent in their field, who are passionate about their work, who inform the kids, teach the kids. They learn information, they learn skills. These skills that lead to future jobs in science and research. We need to have these kids from all over be able to come to a place and learn the things that they want to learn and inform the rest of their education. It's just add on one. Thank you.
I'd just like to thank, I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 5 speakers here, I think, for the museum, and I want to thank you all for coming in. As most of you know, I'm a frequent flyer there, no matter what the, what's going on, whether it is something for the museum itself, or the farmers market, or a community meeting. You're a huge asset to not just Overlake, but the Eastern Baltimore County. And we're currently working right now, working with the administration on the parking lot across the street and hoping that we can get some kind of lease there to help with the parking situation. And I see the museum as not just a something special for Eastern Baltimore County, but actually to go on to somehow connect with our tourism in Baltimore County. And the county executive, I know, has been to both the farmers market and the museum on several occasions, and it is a hidden gem. It really is, and we really want to see you succeed. I know that you do have an ask-in right now, besides the parking lot, and I think that both the county and the state have been very generous, and I hope that that will continue, because it really is a great partnership. A lot of smart people donating their time there, and I get to see it up close and personal, to see the joy that children get just from learning on, whatever programs that you have there. And I thank each and every one of you for all the time that you spend and the talents you give for the museum. So thanks for coming tonight.
Ditto.
Mr. County Executive, Dave Likens, Director of Environmental Protection and Sustainability. I was just curious, I was not aware of whatever ask they had to the society. I wasn't aware of an issue. What exactly were you asking for in support? Did you apply for a specific grant? Or what are you looking for?
Capital funding, Director Likens. So they're just seeking to have towards the development of basically becoming a museum, right? And it's effectively trying to help. I think the state has put forward some bond initiatives to date. I think they're just asking the county to be a partner. I've also mentioned for future years, Leonard, that we should consider making sure that our friends are connected to the operating grants for the Arts and Sciences Commission. I think it's sort of the right candidate for both, in addition to have operating support for future year budgets as well.
Hello, good evening. My name is Darren Badillo. I have 2 children that attend ECPS. I'm a deacon at a local church and director of operations for a local mentorship program. I'm also running for Baltimore County Executive. I'm here tonight to fight for our children, the safety, and mainly our police officers. We have, crime is not down here in Baltimore County. Despite with the numbers that you put up, we have a major issue with crime going on here. We have criminals in the streets and criminals in the schools continue to push the boundary to see what they can get away with. Like you had mentioned, in 2021, we had the most homicides, and the same administration broke that record in 2019. We had 400 kids walk out of Dunlop High School, and 200 kids walk out of Towson High School because of the violence and the sexual assaults being pushed under the rug. Recent data shows that non-fatal shootings are actually on the rise here in Baltimore County. It just came out. Police morale is at an all-time low. Arrests are down here in Baltimore County because engagement is down. Police officers are scared to do their job. It's the only profession they can't use their instincts. If they pull somebody over and something happens, they get in trouble. Why are we not providing more funding for our police officers and support for our police officers? I know that you said crime is down, it's not. I believe that 92% of the budget is from salary positions, but we're 150 officers short. What are we doing with that money? And also, you made mention, that's my question, why are we not providing more funding for our police, more support? And then my second question was, I know we have all this money that's going to construction for new schools. You know, let's stop making developers rich and start putting the people first. Thank you.
So thank you. Again, I will reiterate what we said at the last town hall, which is that we have consistently increased our funding for all public safety. We will continue to do that again in this year's budget. And we welcome you at the table, Mr. Padilla, to be part of the conversation about how we can continue to support not just our police officers, but our firefighters, and Chief Run is here as well, and all of our public safety professionals. You are welcome to believe what you want to believe, but facts are facts, and data doesn't change. And so, yes, we want to make sure that every community, every person feels and is safe in their house, in their neighborhood. But violent crime, part 1 crime, is down year over year. It's a fact. Are we going to do more to keep fighting the bad guys? Absolutely. And I want to thank all of our men and women who are here tonight, day in and day out, and work tirelessly to make sure that we are safe, so that we are making the arrests. We are catching the bad guys. And we're working to make sure that they're prosecuted and held accountable. But we're also making sure that we are making those upstream investments so that we prevent young people and even adults from being in that circumstance in the first place. So that people get their early childhood education. So that we're providing the direct opportunities. So that we're creating jobs, because that actually is the best crime prevention strategy we have. So even as we invest in our police department, we're going to also make those other upstream investments.
Thank you. My name is Jamila Kruger. I'm from Middle River, and I have 2 kids. First off, in our area along Bird River Road, Campbell Boulevard, 43, we have been building houses, and we have not expanded. We have not added parks or fields, any kind of baseball fields, soccer fields, anything like that in that immediate area to accommodate all these houses. The other day, I learned that Greenlee alone, when it's built out completely, would be over 2,000 residences. So we've got to do something in that area alone. I mean, yeah, we have Eastern Regional, but in our area, it would be nice if we could have something for the kids and fields for the families right there. My other, did you want to answer?
Go ahead. Your juice is getting ready.
My other issue is with the police, and my issue with that is Precinct 11 in Essex. That building is abysmal. I mean, that building has got to go. It's not fair to the police. The flooding and asbestos and, you know, when they have lockups, and there's just not enough room for them. And it's not fair to them. I mean, we put so much money out right now for recruiting, which we need to do. But that push, and then we get them through the academy, which is another issue. But when they get assigned to Essex, or get assigned to Wilkins, they gotta walk up there and be like, this was not in the brochure. Because there's, you know, both of them are really, and you know, we gotta do everything we can for these police nowadays. Because we are asking a lot and everybody's against them, and we have to have police with confidence.
So I'll take the precinct question, and I'll let the councilwoman speak to the Greenlee and the parks. We have the funding in place to do a brand new Wilkins precinct. We are actively working with a few opportunities to purchase the land. and potentially move it to a more ideal location for our officers. In addition, I will say Essex is probably priority 1, 2, and 3 for Chief Hyatt, and we're talking about capital budget for this year, so it's definitely on our radar, but I appreciate you raising that as well.
Yeah, so talking about open space and recreation for Middle River, I don't know if you're aware, but we are getting a park/playground on Bird River Road. That was when the fields didn't work out. They decided, the developer said that he would do another project and we're gonna have an area there. But the big conversation is, at Lafarge. And this is why we're working so hard to get over 200 acres of the 425 dedicated to the county just for that, for recreation, for the trade school. So it's really gonna be a benefit to Middle River.
And if there are other parcels that you'd like us to consider, please, actually Pat McDougall is the rock star of all things program open space. He's got that cool Maryland flag. If you have things that you'd like to have our rec teams check out in the meantime, please find him as well.
And we just got a new community/PAL center for Glenmore Elementary, which serves Middle River as well. Not, right there where you live, but it will be serving Middle River as well. So we're working on it all the time.
Mr. County Executive, we'll turn it back over to you.
And I'm going to defer to Councilwoman Bevins first before I wrap it, so I'll defer to you.
Well, I just want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. It was really great to break in this way. And there were some great ideas that we heard of this evening and suggestions. And thanks you for coming out. The budget is very important. You can contact my office or anyone in the county executive's office if you have any questions about the budget. Once the county executive provides the budget to us, then
you're going to just say that it's a perfect budget and not cut it at all.
Didn't we do that last year?
It was perfect.
So it is time consuming, and we do work very hard at it, and we do like the public's opinion on the budget. Now, mind you, we cannot add to the budget, the county council. We can only take away from the budget. And I have to tell you, I've never cut education or public safety since I've been in office, so that's very important to me. But thank you for coming out tonight, and obviously you're very involved with your community and paying attention, which is a good thing. I see a couple of my community leaders here tonight, and thank you so much for coming out. I'm sure you'll take this information back to your communities, and I do want to recognize my colleague, Councilman David Marks, is in the back of the room. And once the maps are approved, when they're approved, he will be taking the 5th District, will be coming into the 6th District. He'll be coming into the 6th District. I'll be losing all of my waterfront and a lot of properties in Middle River up to Route 40. So it was very good that David could come out tonight and hear some of the things that is going on in the 6th District. And we work very well together on the council, although we're on different sides of the aisle politically. 95, maybe 98% of the time, we do vote the same because our communities have so much in common. So thank you for coming out. I want to thank all the county executive staff for making this so easy. And I just look forward to hearing from many of you when it comes to the budget or anything. My staff is in the back. If you need a business card, reach out to my office if you don't already know how to contact me. And county executive, you're a great partner to have in government. And I have to tell you, for the folks in the 6th District, I've advocated hard for the projects in the 6th District, and the county executive has been very generous to the dollars that have come into the 6th District. There will be 2 brand new community centers, which will include PAL centers. We have our first state park coming. We haven't had a brand new state park in over 50 years in Baltimore County. That's coming to Rosedale. We've had so many just really uplifting projects, and communities that have had every single street paved, curbs, sidewalks, gutters. So it's been a fun ride with your county executive. I can't thank you enough. I've never had that many tax dollars coming to the district before, so I'm certainly grateful. And I know we have new schools being built, we have the Northeast School, we have Ready House Run, we have a new middle school that's being erected. Now, of course, all that may move into the David Marks district. Just remember, David, I got those dollars, okay? I'll be at the ribbon cuttings no matter where I am. So it really is great to have a county executive that really understands Baltimore County and the needs of the people here. So I hope that we'll get through this budget. It'll be great. It'll be perfect. It'll be perfect.
And if I just take a point of personal privilege, just to say, Councilman actually stole some of my thunder, but Cathy, no, it's great. I'll just reiterate what a fierce advocate District 6 has, and a lot of the projects that are happening have been very much a direct result of Cathy's advocacy on behalf of the residents here. So I thank you for your partnership. Councilman Marks, thank you for your partnership. As Cathy said, more often than not, we're just about solutions in Baltimore County. We have a 4-3 council, 4 Democrats, 3 Republicans, but we just find solutions.
We get it done.
We get it done, and I thank you for making the time to be engaged in your communities this way. Thank you to the Baltimore County staff. I hope that residents and Baltimore County staff alike walk away from these meetings having a more deep and profound appreciation for the rich diversities of our communities, the needs of our communities, and get excited for the ways in which we can all deliver together. So hope everybody has a great night, and we'll see you at the next town hall, which is, Zach?
19th.
The 19th? 16th? Next week. All right. Have a good night, everybody. Thanks.
Bye.